Markets are at the highs of the day as stocks perk up on hopes of some forward movement in resolving tariff issues, even as calls for domestic reforms rise. Realty, industrials and power are the key gainers, while consumer durables and FMCG are the big drags.
In significant relief for oil marketers, the government has agreed to allocate 30,000 crore rupees payable over FY26 and 27 to partly compensate them for their over 40,000 crore rupees in under-recoveries. The stocks perk up on the news.
Tata Motors takes a hit on US tariffs and expects an impact of around 500 to 600 million pounds in FY26, but an easing to 300 to 400 million pounds thereafter, even as it holds on to its FY26 guidance for JLR. Undemanding valuations support the stock.
PG Electroplast tells CNBC TV18 they were operating at over 100% capacity till early June with strong orders on hand before demand fell off a cliff, catching them off guard. And while inventory remains a big issue for now, the company argues the future trajectory won't be altered by one bad season.
ICICI Bank tilts its focus towards high-income, high-net-worth consumers by upping the minimum account balance in savings accounts for all new customers from the 1st of August. Experts express concerns over the medium-term impact, even as the RBI governor rules out any regulatory action. Very, very sharp move over the last few minutes on the index. You're watching Business Lunch. We are coming to you live from the CNBC TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Hormas Patakia. With me, as always, is Vamakshi Dhoria. Vamakshi, good morning. We are good afternoon, actually. It's turning out to be a good one, actually, for the bulls. Well, 24,500. We are at that 100-day moving average of 24,494. So there and thereabouts. We'd be hoping, the bulls would definitely be hoping that these gains sustain.
Well, absolutely, Hormas. Nothing to complain given the kind of last few weeks that we've had. Very bad weeks. It's the longest losing streak that we've seen since 2020. So some green on the screen will be rewarded for sure. And the bulls will be hoping that this could likely be maintained this time around. The Nifty is hovering close to the 24,500 mark. Supporting it on the way up is the Nifty PSU Bank Index. It's up almost 1.8%. Nifty Realty 2 is another sectoral index that is adding to the moves. Take a look at Prestige Estate. That stock is up almost 2%. Brigade as well. And of course, we have a whole host of earnings reactions play as well. Yatra Online locked in 20% upper circuit. Apart from that, Hariom Pipe Industries as well, up almost 13%. And DE Development just reported its numbers just a short while ago. That stock too is seeing an uptick of almost 11%, Hormas.
Indeed. Can't not also talk about PG Electroplast. Still another 15% lower. We spoke to the management earlier in the day. There was a block deal also that took place in the stock. No respite whatsoever on that stock. 15% lower still is PG Electroplast. And with that move, the stock has now turned almost halved on a year-to-date basis. Is down over 50%. And in line with PG Electroplast, most of the other AC manufacturers are also sulking. Take a look at Amber Enterprises. Amber Enterprises is down 7% in today's session. And along with that is also Voltas, which is also trading with losses of over 6%. Now, the big news of Friday and the impact of that today is the cabinet having cleared that 30,000 crore rupee package for LPG under recoveries for these oil marketing companies, and not a significant reaction seen in all of them. But Sonal is joining in with more details on this and what brokerages are making of this. Sonal.
Well, thank you for that. It is a big news that has come by, and the street was waiting for this for a long time. That is the 30,000 crore rupee compensation that these companies have received in form of LPG subsidies. Now, do remember they have under recoveries to the tune of 41,300 crore rupees till June 2025. So only a part of it is what they have received. What we don't know whether this is a one-time compensation or whether there will be more tranches of this compensation that will be given to these companies as well. Nevertheless, brokerages, they are quite positive on this one. Jefferies says they estimate an upside of 29 to 42% on EBITDA for FY26. In terms of profits, it will be around 38 to 70%. But this is only when they get the entire compensation in FY26. They will be paid in tranches. We don't know whether all these tranches will take place in FY26 itself. ICICI Securities says that LPG compensation is a material boost to their earnings. It takes away the margin worries for FY26 as well. Morgan Stanley, they prefer HPCL and BPCL. They say subsidy could boost FY25 earnings by 75%. deleverage their balance sheets by 12% and support a consistent return on capital employed to the tune of 14 to 15%. There could be a downside if fuel prices are cut by 1 to 2 rupees per litre on the marketing side, but that's a limited downside that they talk about. UBS says that the payment that they are receiving right now is equal to 75% of FY25 dues and 62% of the dues which are accumulated till June 2025. So that's around 62%. It is equivalent to 8 to 16% of their book values for all these three stocks for FY25 and is equivalent to 6 to 9% of current market capitalization as well. So yes, it's a relief, but a lot depends on what's happening with crude sourcing as well. Maybe that's the reason the stock are not reacting as positively as it was expected, but nevertheless, it is a positive news that has come by for the entire sector.
Well, thank you so much for that, Sonal. But moving on, AC stocks, as Hormaz was highlighting earlier, are under pressure today. Stocks such as Voltas, PG Electroplast, Amber Enterprises are reeling under pressure. Earlier, in fact, we spoke today to Vikas Gupta, who's the managing director of PG Electroplast, on their guidance revision and more. Let's listen in.
As the channel inventory built up, and there was no rebound in the sales for the air conditioners, the secondary sales of the air conditioners in the months of July and August, as we are seeing now. So we had to revise our guidance accordingly. In the month of May also, we were hoping that the market will improve, the demand will improve. We were having the order book, we were having the forecast from our brands, our customers, that was quite robust, and we were building on it, and we were believing that numbers, and we were going ahead with those production numbers. So it was only later in the month of June that we saw that the secondary sales are not picking up and the channel inventory is becoming huge. And that's when the demand from the brands fell off the cliff for us. And we realized that we are sitting on a huge inventory for us. The equity holding of the promoters is, I think, 43% or 45% or 47% does not make any difference. It is that the commitment of the promoter family towards the business is more important.
The management there of PG Electroplast, the stock looking to recover from the lows, but every recovery is being sold into as of now. But ICICI Bank was the other newsmaker over the weekend, as it has raised the minimum balance for its savings account to around 50,000 rupees from 10,000 rupees earlier. Ritu is here to tell us more on this. Ritu.
Starting the 1st of August, ICICI Bank has significantly increased the minimum monthly average balance that is required for new savings accounts. Now, for customers in metro and urban areas, the new minimum balance that they must maintain is 50,000 rupees, which is 5 times the earlier amount of 10,000 rupees. In semi-urban branches, it rises from 5,000 rupees to 25,000 rupees, while rural branches see the minimum balance doubled to 10,000 rupees. Now, this is by far the highest minimum balance saving account customers have to keep in any bank in India. Now, if the required minimum balance is not maintained, the bank is going to charge a penalty of 6% on the shortfall or 500 rupees, whichever is lower. But importantly, keep in mind, the change applies only to new savings accounts that are opened on or after the 1st of August. The existing accounts are going to continue under the current minimum balance rules, so there's no changes there. Some accounts are also exempt from this hike. For instance, all salary accounts, pension accounts, basic savings bank deposit accounts under RBI guidelines, and of course, PM Jan Dhan Yojana accounts maintain zero balance accounts. But the big question everyone seems to be asking, why the steep increase? Now, the bank has not given officially any statement yet, but the move is seen as a clear strategic shift away from masses to target the relatively more affluent customer segment. And for the bank, this brings various benefits. For instance, more stable deposits, improvement in CASA, high balances at lower savings rates or lower cost of funds, more premium cross-selling opportunities, and of course, the potential to reduce the dormant low-value accounts, to name a few. But to put this in perspective as to how this compares, other private banks like HDFC, Axis, Kotak, Yes Bank, they usually require a minimum balance of 10,000 rupees for urban areas. That is much lower than the 50,000 that ICICI Bank is now asking. Now, in contrast, public sector banks like SBI, Canara, Punjab National Bank and others have zero minimum balance requirements. So it is going to be interesting to see if other private banks follow the move and how the regulator reacts. Now, but to be clear, ICICI Bank has not really broken any rule. RBI merely says bank charges should be reasonable and they should be commensurate with the cost of rendering the services, but there's no RBI prescribed cap when it comes to the minimum balance that banks can ask for savings accounts.
Well, thanks so much for that update on that development, Ritu. But moving on, RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra says it is up to the banks to decide on the minimum balance and it is not under any regulatory domain. Let's listen into that.
ये जो मिनिमम बैलेंस की जो बात है, जो मिनिमम बैलेंस का जो आप बात कर रहे हो, वो उसके अंदर में रिजर्व बैंक ने सभी बैंकों के ऊपर में छोड़ा है कि वो किस प्रकार का मिनिमम बैलेंस वो रखना चाहते हैं। तो अब किसी बैंक ने 10,000 रखा है, किसी ने 2,000, कईयों ने माफ भी किया हुआ है, लेकिन ये रेगुलेटरी डोमेन में नहीं है।
The RBI governor there on that major developments at ICICI Bank. Take a short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch on CNBC TV 18. We're on to updates from the national capital then. Opposition leaders took to the street over alleged irregularities in the Bihar voter list revision as well as the alleged voter theft during the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Opposition MPs gathered outside the parliament to march towards the Election Commission's office. Delhi police has heightened security measures on the route. Leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi was detained during the protest while Samajwadi Party Supremo Akhilesh Yadav sat in protest after alleging that the police stopped him from moving further. Meanwhile, here is what the leader of opposition had to say.
एक्चुअली बात नहीं कर सकते हैं, रियलिटी ये है क्योंकि सच्चाई देश के सामने है और ये जो लड़ाई है ये राजनीतिक नहीं है, ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की लड़ाई है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को बचाने की लड़ाई है, वन मैन वन वोट की लड़ाई है। इसीलिए हमें साफ प्योर वोटर लिस्ट चाहिए।
Getting in the latest now on the India-US trade tensions, the Parliament Committee on Foreign Affairs is set to meet today to discuss and negotiate on the tariffs issue. Parikshit is joining in with more details on this. Parikshit, tell us more.
Well, the Parliamentary Committee on Foreign Affairs is headed by Congress MP Shashi Tharoor, who has been leading the government's charge politically, and he's been visiting the United States and other nations to speak about Operation Sindoor. The Parliamentary Committee has members across party lines from the BJP and the opposition. The idea would be to understand the status of the India-US trade negotiations, the current tensions, and the tariff situation and the impact. So you will have top officials, including Commerce Secretary Sunil Bartwal, the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, who will be appearing before the panel to help them understand where we are with the trade negotiations, what are the problems, and what will be the impact of a 25% tariff and a 25 plus 25 additional penalty that has been imposed by Donald Trump. Having said that, all eyes are now on the outreach that India is doing. The Indian ambassador to US, Vinay Quatra, has spoken to Lindsey Graham, who is a top Republican senator, someone who had said that countries like China and India should be slapped with a 100% tariff because they are purchasers of Russian oil and gas. He has also said recently that the biggest favor that India could do to US-India relations is to help President Trump in bringing the Russia-Ukraine war to an end. So this meeting becomes very critical, and we're told that our ambassador conveyed India's stand on energy, US-India energy trade as well. While immediate details were not available on the meeting, sources tell us that India has now conveyed at multiple levels to officials in the US that India-US energy trade is going up. It is already up 70% year on year in a Jan to June period, especially for crude. LNG purchases have also doubled, and these energy purchases will only increase in the months to come, and India-US energy ties have a very robust future. We cannot cut off our ties from Russia, but clearly our oil companies will be making more purchases, more long-term contracts with US companies. All eyes now on the 15th August meeting between President Putin and President Trump to see if there can be any breakthrough in the Alaska meeting and whether it will have any ripple effect on India-US relations as well.
Well, thanks so much for that, Parikshit. That will be an important meeting that we all will be tracking very closely. But do stay on with us because electric vehicle maker Tesla has opened its second showroom in the country today in Delhi. Parikshit, tell us more.
Well, yes, Tesla has finally driven into Delhi. This is their second showroom in India. Where I'm standing, it's the Worldmark 3 Mall in Aero City, which is right next to the international airport. So what you have on display behind me is the Tesla Model Y standard version and the long range version. The starting price, the base price is about 59 lakhs. This is minus road tax. There are superchargers which have also been installed in the Worldmark Mall, and these are superchargers which can charge your car to up to 267 kilometers in about 15 minutes. So you've got 4 superchargers which will be installed by Tesla in Delhi, 3 destination chargers. As far as the booking pipeline goes, that's the big question on everyone's mind. But sources tell us that Tesla's own projections are being met in India. When we spoke to officials about the booking pipeline, they did not comment on that, but they said that the booking pipeline is good and as per our projections. So hopefully that is an encouraging sign. Are they going to open more showrooms? Well, yes, they did announce that their next showroom, service center, warehouse would be coming up in Gurgaon Horizon Park. So that's the next showroom we can expect in the next few months. They will also be launching a charging center in Bengaluru. That would be coming up in the next few months as well. Is there a plan to get new Tesla cars? No such plan for the moment. They will be doing an assessment based on the sales that are on. Whether there will be more showrooms in the country, definitely yes, but currently the company, we are told, is doing a heat mapping of the kind of bookings they're receiving from across cities, the kind of response there is, and depending on the sales volume and where they get the maximum volumes from, they will open up more showrooms in the country. But for the moment, they have announced mobile service, a Tesla collision center, and a diagnostic center, remote diagnostic center in India as well.
Well, new cars or not, Parikshit definitely has plans to take a test drive, so we'll leave you for that. Thank you for those updates. Parikshit, take a short break. We'll be right back on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, the Supreme Court has issued an order to round up and impound all stray dogs in Delhi. Ashmit is here to tell us more. Ashmit, what are you picking up from this order from the Supreme Court?
Well, a highly emotive issue, this, as far as stray dogs and the spread of rabies is concerned. This was a case where the Supreme Court had taken suo motu cognizance. Now, what's important is that there are sweeping directions that the Supreme Court has issued. The Supreme Court is essentially saying that the time for compromise is over. There is no space, there is no reason at this stage to hear animal rights activists at this stage, and going on to say that the need of the hour, according to the Supreme Court, is to round up all the stray dogs and to move them outside the city, to move them to dog shelters. That's the direction that the Supreme Court has given. The Supreme Court is very clear that the rights of animals cannot weigh against those who are affected by rabies. Rabies does not have a cure. All of these arguments weighing on the minds of the Supreme Court. And at this point, the Supreme Court making it clear, in fact, at one point also making a reference to an old Hollywood movie, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, saying that when it's time to shoot, don't talk. And with those words, the Supreme Court has directed for rounding up of all the stray dogs, saying that we want Delhi to be free of stray dogs. We don't want any stray dogs affecting people, affecting students, children, people going for walks. And on that count, asking for these dogs to be rounded up. As to where will these dogs be taken? Well, the second direction that the Supreme Court has given is that there need to be dog shelters, dog pounds that need to be set up by the Delhi government, by the MCD, by the NDMC, and these dogs need to be put there. However, importantly, no safeguards have been issued by the Supreme Court as to what conditions the dog will be kept in. One important message, however, that the Supreme Court is keen to send out is that as far as these dogs that are rounded up, they cannot be released once again back on the roads. That's a clear message. And in fact, the Supreme Court also disallowed for a plea that was asking for adoption of these stray dogs, and then going on to say that it's time to act now. There is no room for sentiment, that this is an issue which is pressing, which is on the minds of the court, and with that asking for all stray dogs to be wound up from the streets of Delhi.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Ashmit. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business Lunch. We're leaving you with a green-looking screen. Don't go anywhere. Midcap Radar takes all of the action forward.